So, well, thank you for coming on tonight and agreeing to do this. I really appreciate this.
No, anytime. I love talking about this stuff. So anytime for you and everybody listening.
Love it. Well, I might just get straight started and just, yeah, look, I mean, the whole idea, this month, of course, is Women's Financial Empowerment Month. So it's all about doing that. We've been having Jen Schultz and Nicole Robertson from Women to Wealth speaking, and I decided let's just get a couple of other really kick-ass female that I know that are really kicking goals to just help show women what's possible in their
Yep.
lives. And, you've had a pretty remarkable story. And so in terms of what you've been through and the things that you're doing. And I kind of want to make sure I don't just jump around in excitement and do a million things. So the biggest thing I'm looking at doing today, Monique, is just kind of getting you to first introduce yourself, which I'll get you to do and give your own background.
Yep.
I'm probably going to talk a bit, ask a few questions about your story. Then I want to talk about how women can make money and what you've done with social media and your really cool funnel and how we've kind of teamed up and what you've been doing with that. Then finishing off, I want you to tell us about the absolutely mind-blowing work you're doing over in Kenya right now to help with sex trafficking. So you're kind of this cool-ass chick who makes income, you do philanthropy, and you still have this special place in my heart for being the first ever client to sign up with me because you saw me pole dancing, all that 18
Yeah.
months ago. And I'll never forget you for that.
This is true. This is very true. Yeah, well, I'm excited. You ask away and I'm happy to answer anything you throw at
Well,
me.
your story's pretty crazy. And I mean, obviously, I don't know how much you're willing to share and what you're not, but I would love to, as much you're willing to share, because you've come from a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff, and somehow you've just turned your life around and made it remarkable, really. So maybe I just like you to start by sharing a bit about you. Like, who is Monique Medved? Like, what is it about you and what do you do that's made me want to talk to you, in your words?
Oh God. Okay. Who is Monique Medved? That's $1 million question. Um, yeah, look, if I'm going to give you the standard, oh, what do you do for work kind of background, I've been in the marketing industry for 10 years now, over 10 years. As soon as I finished university, I kind of knew that, sorry, as soon as I finished school, I knew I wasn't kind of going to go down the traditional route of going to university. So I ended up just starting my own business straight out of high school. And it was a clothing brand that I started with a close friend of mine. That didn't work out too well. As soon as we launched, her heart wasn't in it as much as mine was. So that kind of parted ways. But I had this love of creating, like anything that allowed me to start something and build something from scratch and then figure out how do I tell a story around this was kind of where my heart lied. So I started getting into marketing. I started getting into online businesses when I was 18. And I just like would throw myself into it and just learn on the job almost. So I started working for a lot of startups in the social media realm, and then I kind of moved into more of the traditional marketing realm. And then I kind of just kept jumping around, trying to get as much experience from different companies, different industries. So I jumped from the fashion industry to digital to again back to retail, and I just was like enjoying learning. So my background has stemmed in marketing for the most part, and then it kind of started to shift more into 2020 when COVID had happened. I actually quit my job because I had a bout of really bad mental health issues when I was 23. And that kind of sent me into this downward spiral. At that point, I had started another business with my partner at the time. We were in a 7.5 year relationship. So we were together from when we were 15 to about 22. And yeah, my mental health started to decline. I just was kind of doing everything and being influenced by what everybody else was telling me I should be doing. I fell into this trap of being this like entrepreneur who was just all about the hustle and the grind, and it was slowly killing me. But at that point, we'd actually built the world's first vegan watch brand. So we were the first to market vegan watches that were pretty much nearly 100% sustainable. We were using materials that people had never before even thought about using. Like it's only now brands like Adidas and Nike are experimenting with these materials. But back in 2017, we were like playing around with all these sustainable, recyclable materials to create watch bands out of. So once we kind of, well, our relationship started to struggle a bit, the business obviously started to fall apart as well because the two were kind of going hand in hand. And I just started to plummet really badly. And so I got to this point where I realized when I was 23, I'm quite literally at my rock bottom. Like I had hit the absolute pits and thought to myself, like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I don't want to do this anymore. I've had enough. I feel like I'm lying to myself and to everybody. And I was. But then I just had this moment where I thought, well, if this is my rock bottom, I can pretty much go from here to anywhere. And so I started to kind of push myself on a mental, physical, and spiritual level. I'd find these challenges that would just push me out of my comfort zone. That's what I kept saying. Just find something that makes you uncomfortable, go out and do it, and then see what happens. And so it started this like trail of me documenting the process of me going out and sometimes doing these crazy challenges, or me taking other people along for the ride. And so when 2020 hit, I decided that's it. I came back from Nepal. I randomly decided to go and do Mount Everest base camp after I'd just gotten back from a kickboxing training camp in Thailand, where I actually had my first fight as well. Just thought, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to get in the ring. I'm going to train like an absolute madman, and I'm going to have my first fight. And I did. And it was like having these experiences, I kept realizing, well, shit, I'm actually a lot more capable than I first thought I was. I'm not this broken, fragile little girl. Like I can actually, show up for myself and do things with confidence. And so I started just building this confidence within myself that I felt like I lost in my early teens. And then when I got back from Mount Everest base camp, I was going back to a corporate job that I just hated at that point. I was like, this is soul crushing. I feel like there's more to life. I just went and had this incredible experience with these incredible people, and they were the happiest people in the world, yet they had nothing. Like, what are they doing that we're doing wrong here in the Western world? So then, I pretty much quit on the dot, decided I was going to pack up my life, sold everything I owned, moved back home with my mum and dad, and decided I was moving to Thailand. Then 2 weeks before I was meant to leave, I'd sold everything. COVID happened and the world shut down. So then I was sitting there going, oh, I think I just royally screwed up my life. But then it presented me with this opportunity to absolutely pivot everything. And so I kind of sat there and went, all right, well, I've got all these skill sets from the last, 6 years or 7 years of building online businesses, creating websites, doing graphic design, doing social media, doing content creation. I started a YouTube channel at that point. So I learned how to like do video editing. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to try and do this, whatever this is going to be, I'm just going to try and make something of this. And so it ended up with me working a lot with other small businesses and building their brands and building their stories through content creation. And then that's kind of how I just landed into like filmmaking and content creating, as well as social media. And then it kind of just kept shifting and shifting, but I always found myself coming back to this whole idea and notion of storytelling. And that's all I've ever wanted to do as a kid, was share stories. And so by the time I had gotten myself out of the whole mental health funk, COVID had happened, and I was kind of just trying to figure out, well, what is it that I want to do? I just kept defaulting to that. So then that kind of turned into me starting again the online business in the digital marketing realm, which was looking into, well, how are other people doing it? Especially when COVID happened, this massive shift had happened, where the digital economy started to boom, because it was like the dot-com era started all over again, because the whole globe had to go online. There was online education, people were working remotely, people started making a shit ton of money online. And I was watching it all happen going, why is this all of a sudden just spiking? Why is this all of a sudden happening? What are these people doing that nobody else seems to see? And so that's where I kind of started learning about, things like sales funnels and marketing funnels and visibility funnels, and how it all just created this system and ecosystem. And so, I just started doing it for other people because I was a bit too afraid to kind of go out by myself and be like, oh, this is what I'm doing now. And I just started learning again on the job, just doing it for people, seeing what works, what doesn't. And a lot of it came down to obviously messaging and marketing, which was where my strengths laid. And then it just came with understanding and following, well, how do you now build a system? How do you build a framework? How do you build something that's automated so you can actually remove yourself from the business and have it just work for you instead of you needing to work in the business? Because I'd done that before and I realized I actually don't want to do that. I don't want to do one-on-one clients anymore. I don't want to take on all these big projects. I want to be able to help people and give them value and you know, help them navigate through something that they're struggling with at the moment, but I don't want to have to do the one-on-ones anymore because my priorities again shifted in 2020 through 2022 when I went to Kenya, and I realized what my life purpose was at that point because I'd met this incredible woman over there and I had fully committed my life to actually helping her with her mission. So I kind of came back from Kenya in 2023 and was like, all right, we have to reevaluate again. What do you want to do from here on in? And so I started obviously working with you, Warren, and again, learning about structures, learning about how do you financially set yourself up to be able to grant you the freedom to be able to go and do what you really want to do, whatever that might look like. In my case, it's helping this woman in Kenya with these young girls who are being sex trafficked and sold for cows to stay in school, to give them an education. So again, this massive shift had to happen. But by that point, I'd pivoted so much in my life that it wasn't new to me. I wasn't afraid of, you know, starting again. I wasn't afraid of messing something up and failing. I wasn't afraid to step out of my comfort zone because of all these experiences that I'd had over the last, you know, 5 or 6 years. So yeah, now I'm kind of at this point where I've got this big grand vision of what I want to do, which is set up this charity, which again, Warren is in that process of helping me do, but being in the online space with education. And so that's kind of where I've landed now. Long-winded answer to your question. But, you know, it's hard to answer that question because like I'm so many things and I like that I'm so many things and I'm like that I'm skilled in a lot of different areas. And now it's just been a whole kind of journey of figuring out, well, how do I package this all up and how do I present this to people so that the people that want to do the exact same thing, they want to set something up, generate passive income, and then go on with their life and travel or spend more time with their kids or family and friends can actually do that, because that is now something that you can do in this day and age. Right now, there's more possibility to make that happen than there ever has been before. So it's an exciting time. If you know what you're looking for, if you know like how it's all working behind the scenes, you know, and a lot of people will say, oh, it's such a crowded market, the online learning industry. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like if you're actually actively in it and studying it and seeing what's happening, we are literally at the like foot of the mountain. It will peak. And if you're not open enough to start getting really curious and start learning now, you will miss the boat in like 3 years time, where it will be an even more saturated market. So yeah, I'm kind of now just in the space of like teaching other people what I've learned over the last 10 years from a digital marketing point of view and an online business point of view, and then helping people find their passions. Like, what is it that you actually want to be doing? What is it that you love learning about, that you love teaching, that you love sharing with people, that can actually also generate a passive revenue for you, because it can exist. It exists now. You can do that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
That's good. Yeah, I had about 5 or 6 questions, and I think you answered 4 of them in one hit, but that's okay. It's funny, yeah, but no, I can relate to it. So yeah, and I love the story. I agree. I mean, your story and your drive always gets me pretty excited, and I think we kind of egg each other on, you know. So
I'm Croatian as well, so I tend to like use my hands and get like really fiery. Just an FYI, if you're like, why is she using her hands so much? It's because
I
of
know
that.
every Croatian I know is like really fiery, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're the best Croatian that exists, but you know, and I'm the best Australian, right?
Exactly.
Good. So on the funnel, what I like about you, Monique, and why I want to talk to you is that I hear all kinds of people get up and go, oh my God, you can make money online, and they kind of get you excited, but it's bloody hard work, excuse the French. Like to actually set up the funnel and put it in place, it doesn't just sit there magically. You say, manifest me, magnificent universe. I mean, look, I think it may be possible, but 99.9% of people can't miraculously manifest that. So what I like about you is that you kind of give very practical, like even when you've been working with us on one, you're very straight to the point. You're very methodical. You project map, you project plan it out. You've done your research. So maybe just tell us about. I mean, I'm kind of interested in the income side. You know, like so. Tell us, like, what got you into this, and how can women realistically make income and get the kind of training and the things like that, and practically do it? Because it's one thing to say it; it's another thing to actually do it. Does that question make sense?
Yeah. I think half the battle is like first believing that it's possible, right? Because a lot of
Yes.
people see it thrown around online. You see it all the time. You see these sponsored ads popping up on your feed going, grow your, following organically by, 100,000 subscribers, earn $10,000 a month. It's like, yeah, cool. That just doesn't feel real. That doesn't feel like it can actually happen, right? And I keep saying to people, like, if they're interested in getting into this space, all you got to do is like go on Etsy.com or masterclass.com and just see what people are putting out there and how simple it can actually be to create a digital product. So digital product being something like an ebook or a template or, selling masterclasses, like, doing a masterclass with someone if you're actually teaching something of value that's going to help somebody, right? And you look just online, and the majority of people that are online, especially on platforms like Etsy, are women. Women have clocked it. They are literally stay-at-home mums. And I always say, trust the stay-at-home mums because they're the ones working their asses off. Oh, I don't have kids, but trust the stay-at-home mum because what she wants is that freedom to spend more time with her children. So she's working her ass off to find a way to make that happen. So just by going on Etsy.com, you'll see so many people are selling things like online, templates, ebooks, for $4, and they're generating sales that are accumulating over $20,000 a month. You times that by 12, and you can be honestly earning up to $100,000 in your sleep, right? Again, there's this belief system that's in play where people go, but that's not real. That's a scam. That's a pyramid scheme. And honestly, it's not, because I've seen my own clients do that exact same thing. I've learned from people who have done that and walked the walk. And it's just fascinating because I think people think in this day and age, you've got to work harder. Like you've got to, but realistically, you just have to work smarter. And that's why I find these funnels so interesting, because if you can understand the framework of how to actually build it and how to take a customer from opting in for a freebie all the way through to whatever it is you're offering, be it, an online course, an online program, additional webinars, whatever it might be, it's just systemized, it's automated. And so the possibility of making, I know people that make $10,000 a week. When I first heard that, I was like, there is no fucking way that is even possible. Like $10,000 a week would have in the past taken me like 6 months to make. There's no way. But again, it comes down to understanding the skill. Like learning how to create funnels is a skill set. Learning how to do Facebook ads is a skill set. Learning how to do TikTok ads is a skill set. And what I keep trying to reiterate to people is this is not going away. Like the digital economy, the digital space, it's not going away. So if you're going to spend 6 months in a job that you absolutely hate versus spending the next 6 months dedicating like an hour a week to try and learn this skill set by learning from other people online, you're going to be a lot further ahead in terms of learning this new skill in 6 months' time than being in the same place, still feeling really, really paralyzed. So yes, it's hard in the beginning because it is overwhelming. There's so much out there that's like, where do I even start? It's like when you try to go vegan and you're like, oh my God, everybody is telling me that I should eat this, I shouldn't eat this, I should do this, I shouldn't do this. There's too much information, right? So it's about finding the people that you actually just resonate with and relate to, the people that are speaking your language, that aren't speaking at you, that are speaking to you. That's where you start. But again, I think it's a whole mindset shift that actually has to happen first, because I genuinely believe in every area, whether it's business, relationships, personal life, or anything, it's 80% mindset, 20% strategy. If your mindset is shithouse,
Yep.
I can give you all the answers. I can give you all the strategies. I can give you all the frameworks. I can do it for you.
Yes.
But you're not going to be able to fix it when it breaks, right? So for me, I am really, really passionate about teaching people, not just here you go, here's a course, here's like the framework, go off, go and do it. It's like, here is how you actually start to believe that you can manifest this money in your life. You can create an online business that's going to generate $10,000 a month easily, without the hustle, without the burnout, without the overwhelm. So all it comes down to
I love
is,
that.
it's like learning. That's all it is. And I think that is now more possible than ever before. I'm getting tongue-tied. Yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question. I think the possibility of what is possible to create on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. It's literally limitless. You know, one of my mentors, she just ticked over in the last 11 months, and I actually went through one of her programs. She just ticked over $3 million USD. And it's incredible because the women are the ones that are succeeding, right? It's like they've tapped into this.
Yeah.
They understand this.
As of
Yeah.
now, I'm identifying as a woman. That's it. Because women do, they follow rules well. It's like, yeah, when I hear you say that and doing that kind of stuff, it's really inspiring. But what you said about mindset, I just want to jump onto that one because I'm like, I mean, I could not agree with you more. Like, if I was really self-aware, honest with you, I think my strategy at times and my discipline and on practical stuff isn't always the greatest, but my mindset's fucking good. Like,
Yep.
I remember when I went through a really severe mental health issue at one stage, and literally I couldn't work for a while, no money was coming in. And everyone else around me was stressed about my financial position, except for me. I just said, I'm not worried about it. They said, why? I said, well, obviously you're going to make it. And I
Yeah.
said, and I'll make it easily. I said, it just didn't cross my mind, but I wouldn't and I said that money's just one of these things you can manifest. You just see it grow on stock markets and shit like that. And then I think what happened was I discovered all this money I didn't even know I had hidden away, which I'd forgotten about. And then I found investments I'd gone into, I'd almost forgotten about and soared.
Yeah.
And then I found other stuff and I ended up making more money than I would have made working for sitting on my bum, sorting out my mental health issues. And I remember that really showed me how much mindset's everything. And I remember sitting, Monique, with a really great trader years ago who was making $4 million a year.
Mm.
And he actually said to me, most of the time my strategy is pretty shit, but he said, I just don't have any doubt I make money. To me, I'm obviously going to make money. I've just got to stick to my system and not break it. And whereas he said, if I meet someone and I've never forgotten this, he said, if I meet someone and they're excited by trading and think it's really cool, they're probably losing money because he said, trading is not actually very exciting. It's very disciplined and it's all about mindset. And so, like, if you have a mindset, yeah, it's obviously going to work. Like, even you doing this funnel stuff for me and what we're doing now, I remember, as I told you, I just said, I just thought, yeah, well, I'm going to create a new funnel. I'm going to take my awakening work to the next level. That's the other thing I'm doing. And someone's just going to manifest and help me do it. And then you message me and we start talking. And then even I haven't told you this one, but about 4 days ago, because remember you said to me that you didn't have capacity to do a global wealth club funnel, but you do the other one with me. And I said, that's okay. I'd rather someone who's really passionate about it. I said to you, don't worry, someone will manifest. The next day, someone adds me on Telegram who I suddenly remembered they were a genius funnel creator, another female, who years ago, she and her husband and I did stuff together, and literally every funnel they've made has kicked ass. And they're like, oh my gosh, we want to do Global Wealth Club funnel for you. So I'm just going, so it's all about mindset and making it happen. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you get the mindset right, then you can help with the strategy and give the process, and then people will do it.
That's it. And, it all stems down to the belief systems. Like when you look at your autobiography and narrative of what you've believed for all this time up until this point, obviously it's probably been unconscious programming from when you were a child. Like we don't actually sit and try to unpack that ever. And so, even starting to work with you, that's where I started to really unpack all of this stuff. Like, why is it that I felt like I couldn't be the one to go out and teach this? I always felt like, I'll just do it in the background for other people because if it fails or it doesn't work, like at least it's not my ass on the line. But now it's like, well, no, I actually know my shit and I'm going to be the authority in this field because people keep coming to me for it. You came to me, like everybody keeps asking me these questions. So obviously I know stuff, I know something. I should be out there on the forefront teaching people. And, for me, every single thing that I do, everything from the content I produce, from the charity stuff that I do, from, these funnels, I have to lead with integrity because I know that's one of my values. So for me, I can't just sell something for the sake of selling something. I want to actually sell you a solution. I want to be able to help you so that you can grant yourself the freedom to be able to do this exact same thing, to travel the world, to, spend more time with your kids, with your family, because at the end of the day, I genuinely believe the human experience, like you being here today, you're here to experience what it means to be human. And what it means to be human is not working a 9-to-5 job that you fucking hate, coming home feeling depressed, having no time to spend with your husband or your families or your friends or, seeing the world. I've always felt that. And, you know, when I was 18 and I jumped into business, I thought, oh, this is going to be it. This will be the thing that will allow me to, you know, go and make millions of dollars, and then I'm going to be free to do whatever I want. And that wasn't the case, because my view on money was the money is what's going to give me the happiness. But it's like the money is just the byproduct of what you actually want. What I actually want is like the freedom to decide, okay, I want to go and do this. I want to say yes to this opportunity. I want to be able to help this person without this constant fear or worry that, oh, it's not going to come back, or oh, how am I going to make that money back? So, you know, I think it's like questions like that, that in my programs and my courses, we focus a lot on the mindset of it, because I think it's absolutely useless to give you something that if it doesn't work or you get stuck at some point, you're mentally not able to actually fix it yourself. You know, I've got this really big thing with hand holding. I don't like hand holding. I did it for too long with people, and the second you let go, they kind of go, like, how do I stand on my own 2 feet? For me, and I think working with Helen in Kenya and seeing what she managed to do with these young girls was, when you learn to empower people to empower themselves, that's when you win. That is when you win. Not when you're the one trying to say, oh, I'm going to empower these people just for like a bit of an ego boost. Be like, look how great I am. I changed this person's life. It's like, I'm going to give you the tools and the resources, and I'm going to put the belief in you because I believe you can do it. Now you just have to believe that you can do it. And then you'll go a lot further even than I will. So yeah, that's why I focus so heavily on mindset, because I think mindset, discipline, I don't believe in motivation. I think motivation is a BS word. But I do believe in inspiration. I believe that if you understand your why in any area of your life and you want to manifest a desired outcome, all you got to do is take inspired action. And every time there's a hiccup or a hurdle or a challenge, you are not going to fall back on this motivation to push through. You're going to actually have the discipline because you understand why you're trying to get to wherever it is you want to go or achieve the thing you want to do. And that is going to outweigh everything else. It's when we don't have that clarity around why it is we're trying to do something or why it is we're trying to create something, that we start to get really misaligned. And it starts to feel like sticky and icky and like, ugh, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. I'm confused. It's like, no, just take a second to actually reevaluate. Are you still happy to do this? Do you still want to, you know, be creating this or making money this way or doing that job? And I think that's what I learned through those constant moments of pivoting. And like, I don't even look at things as failures. I'm just like, okay, that was a really great lesson. What did I learn from that? And that is sort of the stuff I can now incorporate into my programs to help other people, and particularly women, because I find women are the ones that I know the majority of people that come to me, actually, it's a mix. A lot of men will come to me with the same problem. It's like they're just not confident in themselves. They don't know how to take the first step because there's no evidence or social proof that they can prove to themselves that they're actually capable of doing the said thing. You know, I use this thing called evidence stacking, where it's what I started doing when I was constantly seeking discomfort in every area of my life, whether it was a physical, mental, or spiritual challenge. Every single time I overcame a fear or I did something that I genuinely thought I could not do, it was like evidence was being stacked. It was making my case that, hey, you can actually do hard things. So the next time I could feel feelings arising in me that felt very similar to a scenario that I'd once been in, where I said the same narrative to myself, I can't do this. This is too hard. This is too challenging. This is too scary. What if I fail? What if, you know, rejection pops up? It's like the evidence that I had started accumulating gave me the confidence to be like, just fucking do it. You did it last time. There's no reason why you can't do it again now. Just do it. You know, so I think that's why, yeah, again, I focus so heavily on just more than just the strategy. It's about mindset first, because that has to be right. That has to be rock solid as the foundation, because you will take on the world if you actually believe that you can.
So here's a question for you. Let's say that you got a female, like
Yes.
here or somewhere, but their mindset's pretty good. You know, there's no question I can do it. What do I do, Monique? I'm ready to fucking do this and do a really cool online funnel. And obviously I'm pretty new to this. How would you suggest they start? Obviously, I know you're designing a really cool course to guide people where they can learn how to do it and things like that. Like, what would you kind of say in simple terms? Like, would you say, look, once my course comes out, something like that, where you can go through, you implement the steps, you find your passion, your niche, Just sort of simple steps
Yeah.
that, I'm curious.
Before you even go into that, all right, like literally do your own research, like look at people online, find people that you're following that may be in a similar niche or industry as you, sign up to their stuff. If you sign up to their stuff, watch what happens as soon as you sign up, the emails that you start to get, and you'll probably get bombarded for like a 5 to 10 day period, maybe every day. Some people go over the top and will bombard you with like 10 emails a day. And just watch what they're saying, like read what they say, read what they share, and even watch the times that they send things to, because it is all the same shit. Like they're following a similar system. And it's a simple, where have you opted in? And then it's just like a trail run. I did that when I first started. There were a few people where I was like, I really resonate with what you're selling or what you're creating. I really like the way you present your, branding. I really don't like what you're doing, but I'm just curious because you keep claiming that you're doing all these things. I want to see how you do it and just explore, pick 3 people that you want to start following and actually watch what they do when they send you these emails, or watch what they do when you see a free webinar or masterclass come up, because these people are probably live launching 3 or 4 times a year and using the exact same funnel. So oh yeah, go.
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting. So what you're saying about that kind of stuff. So it's just getting moving and getting stuff happening, and like you said, doing some research, and almost follow. Is there like a system or formula you'd give, like a series of steps? Like 1, do some research, get a market. Like we did that with manifestation for the awakening within, and then number 2, do this. Then number 3, do that. Like it kind of a bit like that.
I think it's that. I think it's research, and then start to explore, well, what is it, if you were to do this, right? What is it that you'd want to do? Would you want to create a digital product? Would it be a once-off product? Would you want to, maybe you're a hairdresser, let's say for argument's sake, and maybe you're doing one-on-one clients in a salon, but you're like, I really want to be able to also teach online as a passive revenue. So I want to create a course where I show, first-year apprentices the basic foundations on how to, I'm not a hairdresser, I don't know any hairdresser terms, but basically teach them in 7 modules what they can do to excel in the hair industry. So then you would have to look at, well, what could I actually create in terms of a lesson plan? And let me tell you, when it comes to tech and gear, which a lot of people get hung up on, I created a YouTube channel that literally was all on my phone. I filmed everything on my phone. So if you're sitting there kind of going, okay, great, I know what I want to do, I don't know how I'm going to film this, you could literally film it on your phone. You could literally film it through a Zoom webinar. There's no limitations anymore in this day and age because of technology. From there, once you have your kind of course plan of what you would kind of want to teach, it would be actually create the content, right? Once you've created the content, it's about looking at, well, what platform do you think you would want to be using? Because there's hundreds out there. And again, it's just going to go back to do your research. Watch what other people are using. See what other people are using. If you've invested in some courses, which I also highly recommend, invest in a couple and just see the process of what they do and how they take you on this customer journey. Because no one's reinventing the wheel here. It's been and done, but it works. It's a system that's not broken. And then I think from there, it would be like figuring out, well, if you're going to live launch, what does that timeline look like? And then it's all about sponsored ads. How are you going to utilize Facebook ads? Where are you going to, what platforms do you want to be using? Do you want to be seen on Instagram? Do you want to be seen on TikTok? Do you want to be seen on YouTube? So the grunt work at the beginning, it's work, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh my God, this is so easy. And, it can be done in like a week. Like, no, it won't be done in a week, right? Like, but you can start by researching. You can start by seeing what other people are doing, and then start researching, well, okay, if I was to take this step forward, what would I want to teach? Like, what's my niche going to be? What is my, what can I offer the world? And I have actually a client who, he's an incredible filmmaker. And he's come to me recently and said, I really want to like delve into this world. And I said to him, okay, like I know you're a filmmaker. Is that what you want to teach? Do you want to teach people film techniques? Like, what is it? And he actually had already been thinking about it, and he came up with this really brilliant niche where he wants to teach filmmakers, new or experienced, how to go over to third world countries and actually film documentaries. And I was like, dude, you have hit the nail on the head. You are going to be making so much money because it's niche enough, but broad enough in a bigger industry where it's a skill set. It's actually a skill set to know, you know, how to go overseas, how to do the planning, the shooting, the types of, you know, camera gear you might need to take, but also the etiquette, because to go over to a third world country to film something is very different than if you go down the street or go to Melbourne to film something. So it's all those little things. Like, you just need to really understand what you want to teach, who you're going to be speaking to, and then the type of messaging, which is again what I focus on a lot in my course. You want that messaging to be magnetic. You want to be able to speak with people and not at them, because nobody wants to be spoken at. No one wants to feel like they're in a constant lecture being like told, do this, don't do this. And, you know, so there's a lot to it, but I think what I love doing and the way I love teaching, because I always didn't really like school, because I always used to think, God, there's got to be a simpler way to explain this sort of stuff. So in my program that's coming out next month, where I will teach from the start to the end, like, you've got a concept and an idea. This is what you got to do next. This is what you got to do next. This is when you're going to live launch and how you're going to do it. I just simplified everything because I was like, this doesn't have to be as hard as people make it out to be, right? And my whole thing in life is just work smarter, not harder. Work smarter, not harder. So yeah, I would honestly just suggest start, if you're at the very beginning of this, start by doing the research. Just if you're going to be mindlessly scrolling through Instagram or Facebook, take note. I bet you now, if you've got your phone near you, 100%, there are going to be people popping up with sign up to my free webinar and sign up to this and, you know, manifestation course here and whatever. You'll start seeing it everywhere, everywhere. So just find who you gravitate towards and yeah, just like watch what they do, observe how it all unfolds before you. Because it follows the same sort of system.
No, I love it. In fact, you got me thinking, because there's just a couple of notes I was making, and as we were talking, I'll just get them up in front of me. So yeah, look, basically the first one I put was about being willing to pay a price and put the work in. And a couple of men, you know, I remember I was actually speaking today, I was talking to a law firm who I'm teaming up with on some stuff, because years ago I used to be a lawyer in my dim, dark, evil life. And I used to do estate planning and that. And I actually built the first successful outsourced, you know, firm for estate planning in Australia, but I know of. Now, what's interesting about it was, naturally, you know me more as a creative out there guy. I'm not naturally the kind of guy, Monique, that likes to administrate and manage. But I remember thinking, look, if I manage all day, every day, I'll go nuts. So what I did was I just had rules every day, small action steps, always. So I would always do steps every day, like little steps. So like one day, okay, today I'm going to record a will, doing a will. Today I'm going to record this kind of will. Today I'm going to get this letter done up. Today I'm going to do this. Today I'm going to outsource and begin outsourcing the Philippines. Today I'm going to do this. Do you know, within 6 months, I created this fully outsourced firm that didn't require a lot of work for me. And I remember at the time, that business alone, apart from others, was making 300,000 a year in net profit. I really wasn't doing a lot. And because it wasn't my favorite business. And because I put the time in. And even right now in Global Wealth Club, I think I told you this, some of you would notice we're getting a lot more people speaking, like, you know, we've got Jen and that, we've got Stephen Pettit. And one reason for that is that I realized that to really grow this work, which I'm passionate about, to financially empower people, I thought the thing is, I've got to be willing to pay a price, because I realized that even though I didn't like to admit it, I was the best person to manage the company, because I've got management training, I've outsourced successfully. I'm a good administrator for my years of accounting. Now, do I love administration? I don't think anyone actually really does. Apart from these very boring people who can just sit there and love being bored, but I'm not one of them. So what I do is I let my crazy side come out by doing pole dancing, as you know, and doing ridiculous sort of stunts and going a bit nuts and feral, as some of you know. because day to day, I kind of just turn up to work and I do administration, a lot of it. I mean, every now and again, I'm just about ready to screen, and I literally do. I've got to go to the beach and screen. But everyone was saying to me just the other day how fast the company's grown and the difference with the turnaround we've seen in the last 3 months, the increase in our bottom line, in everything. But a lot of it was putting the hard work in, getting up there, doing joint ventures, and just researching, like, what does the market want, testing things out, and then organizing myself. And then I love what you said about mindset, because every single day, without fail, morning and night, I do this. I give myself permission to have billions of dollars more than I've ever had before. I say that every single day. I give myself permission to grow Global Wealth Club even greater and work even smarter. And then when I feel overwhelmed, which happens almost every day, because management's not my natural forte, I just simply say every day, I give myself permission to get better, to get stronger, and to get more robust in my management style and find it easier. And I just keep saying each day, and I know that each day I become a better manager, because each day I'm becoming the dumbest person in my company, because smarter than people are rising up than me. And I'm saying that. That's my aim, is to be the dumbest person in the Global Wealth Club within a year. And it's great. And that's what's starting to happen. But it's a price to pay. In my ideal world, I love what one of my very appalling mentors once said to me. He said, look, it's great to be inspired doing what you love. And he said, I think most of your time you're going to be doing that. But he goes, if I 100% was inspired for doing what I absolutely loved, I'd be lying on the beach getting paid, being filmed, getting massaged by beautiful women all day. And he said, in bikinis. Now, he said, at this time, no one's actually offering me that money. So therefore, he said, I'm making money by doing other stuff. And I thought, of course, there would always be a bit of a giggle at his workshops, but there's truth in that, Like for me, I believe in the vision of Global Wealth Club. I believe in our manifestation. I love trading and investing. I mean, I enjoy it. But about 30 to 40% of the stuff I do, honestly, it's like I sit there and I groan every morning. I look at my task list and I'm like, oh God, I've got to work on process today with this. And like this week, I'm working on process to improve our structuring. I'm like, and then on the weekend, I was working on improving our membership site offering to make our financial education videos flow better. And I literally took me a week to kind of build myself up to do it. I'm like, I don't want to fucking do this, bad. But I did it. And now already we've seen a difference in it. So I do think to be successful, you do what you enjoy doing. But like you said, you do have to be willing to pay a price and put the work in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it goes back to, if you understand why you're doing, you want to be making millions and millions of dollars through Global Wealth Club, through the Awakening Within as well. Well, that's not just going to happen. Like, manifestation, I feel like has this real buzz hype around it. And I used to always hate it because I think I never understood it. But it was always like people miss the second part of the sentence. Like, oh, I'm just going to manifest $1 million and I'm going to sit here and just going to meditate on it. It's like, no, have the manifestation, have the affirmation, have the, one word or one sentence that you want to manifest, but you need to take action. And I've started saying inspired action because, again, like, just listen to how words feel when you say it, right? Like when people say, just take action. For me, it's like there's this ick towards it because I feel like there's this real hustle, like just like always go get shit done. It's like, well, you can be busy or you can be productive. There's a difference, right? If you're sitting there going, oh, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. It's like, okay, cool. But what did you actually get done? Like, did you just waste time on all these activities or tasks that aren't going to move the dial, or were you actually productive and ticked off the things that were necessary to get done for you to move closer to that vision, right? I think the problem that people get hung up on is they're not really clear on where it is they're heading and what it is they actually want, or there's this illusion behind the goal or the destination that they haven't actually sat with long enough and gone, is that actually what I want, or is it this fantasy I've conjured up? Or like money's the byproduct. Like I want to make a lot of money. Cool. What's that money going to allow you to do? What's that going to, what is that money going to allow you to believe that you are, And I think as well with inspired action, like what you said, you repeat constantly. What I constantly repeat and my sign when I see it is a black crow, and I see so many black crows. But when I say black crow, I always recite, I am in the process of becoming a multimillionaire and creating generational wealth for myself and my family. I am in the process of, that's momentum. Okay. That's movement.
I like it.
that might not be my reality right now, but I'm in the process of becoming that, and I'm not far off from becoming that. But it's movement, it's momentum. And when you think about energy and emotions, like emotions are just energy in motion. Everything is this constant momentum and motion. So when you're speaking to yourself in this way, there's blatantly lying to yourself, being like, I'm a millionaire right now, or I'm going to earn $10 million in the next month. And it's like, okay, cool. How's that going to happen if you're just sitting there not actually doing anything to move the dial to actually get there, right? So that as well is something I teach in my course. It's like, how do you actually utilize all these tools, all these resources, all these, affirmations and everything, and turn them into something tangible by actually understanding the concept of them in the very first place? So, and that's the stuff that I love. I've always felt really like drawn to the mindset side of things. And now it's just more focused on, okay, let's sort out the mindset, but then let's also give you something to work on to actually build and create. And this could take you 3 months. This could take you 6 months. This could take you 3 weeks if you're a fast learner and you're just getting it. I can't tell you the exact time frame that it'll take, but that's on you. That's also on you. And like I said, I'm a hard ass, but like I'm also your best cheerleader. Like I will be in your corner being like, you go, you good thing. Like, do not let anybody tell you that you cannot do something. Like, no, that's not what we're about. So, and it's because, I've been in that position. I've been in that place where I felt worthless. I felt like an honest piece of shit. Like I felt like I was unworthy as a woman. I felt like I was, a constant failure. Like I couldn't exceed people's expectation. I was a constant people pleaser. I've been all those things. And, I'm 30 this year in December, and I'm just like, oh God, like none of this actually like matters, right? Like,
No.
but at the end of the day, it's how you say it, right? You can sit there and be like, well, none of this matters, or you can be like, well, none of this matters, so I'm just going to go after it. I'm going to go and I'm going to achieve all the things that I want to do, and I'm going to try, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to fail, and I'm going to try again. So yeah, I think, yeah.
I love it. Like, this is the only reason I haven't asked you to marry me, because we just talk all day and we never do anything in our life. So that's kind of why it's best that we don't. But in all seriousness, I just love what you said about what is it? The manifestation, and the way you talk about just like nothing, none of this matters, and the way you say that. Because I was saying this yesterday to someone. It's like, yeah, you just repeated almost what I said. I said the thing is that everything in life up until now is a movie memory. Okay, it's all it is. It's a memory, like everything. I mean, everything that you think about doing in the future is a dream. Nothing actually matters right this current moment, except right this second, right now. And in about, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes from now, this will be a memory, what we're doing now. And the only recollection will be what the recording that'll be on YouTube and whatever else. And then 50 years' time, I mean, who knows? No one will probably give a shit about us. I mean, maybe they will, because we'll leave a legacy, but maybe they won't. And the truth is, most people aren't very significant. They think we're more significant than we are. But most of the time, no one really gives a shit about you. And that's why you've just got to do what your heart scream and leave a legacy that makes a difference. And I was saying this the other day to someone, that everything, even the good and bad, when you look back at life, it's all got its part to play. Like I was telling you about my amazing relationship, Sammy, who you know about, who unexpectedly passed away. That was just like unbelievably bad. But then I also was talking about the worst girlfriend I ever had, like 13 years ago, and cracking up, saying, now I'm actually look back and say, I'm so glad I dated her, because I just have these amazing stories of horrific things she did to me, which now I look back and I actually find it quite funny. And it's a bit of like a good party story. And the truth is, it makes you who you are today. And that's why you just want to step out and try new things and give it a shot, and
Well,
do
that's the
things.
same. You can say the exact same thing about, trauma. Like I hate getting hung up on trauma. It's like,
Yeah.
it's for me, like, I briefly touched on it at the beginning, but like there are things that have happened to me that I suppressed for a very long time. And it tortured me unconsciously for years. It affected me in every area of my life, whether I realized it or not. And in the process of me believing that I was dealing with it, I was dealing with it, but unconsciously, and it was just leaking out into every area of my life. And it wasn't until I was about 25 when I realized like, shit, this has actually got this invisible rope around my neck right now. I'm drowning and I'm suffocating because this is actually holding me back. And you know, it was when I was 23, I was raped. And it was horrible. It was horrific, like so horrific that I completely suppressed it and pretended like it never, ever, ever happened. And then when it finally all kind of came out, and I thought to myself, how in the fuck am I supposed to deal with this? Like, I thought I dealt with this. I didn't deal with it. I
No.
literally stopped crying and said, you're never going to cry about this ever again because it didn't happen. And it's like, you know, that is the catalyst, that experience, as horrible and as traumatic as it was the catalyst for everything that I do now. It's why I'm so
Wow.
passionate about empowering women. It's why I'm so passionate about this school in Kenya, because after meeting Helen, I met this woman. Do you want me to talk about Kenya now?
Yeah,
Seeing
yeah,
really.
yeah. I was going to say, you've got to talk about Kenya
Oh,
now.
okay.
You got
So
it. Got it.
after I met this woman, it was all by fate. Like, honestly, everything up until that point in my life led me to this small village in the Masai Mara in Kenya. I'd been doing content, I'd been doing, you know, I was getting sponsored by companies and brands. And I started in 2021 this list where I said to everybody, I'm starting this YouTube channel. It's going to be called A Year to Live. And I was going out to everybody saying, if you knew you had a year to live, what would you do? And I was filming their reactions and filming their answers. And there were some people that were replying with really out there, outrageous things. Other people had pretty simple things, but it was my fascination with death. Like, I was trying to understand, if people actually had a year to live, would they go out and do the things that they said they would do? And then I met this one woman who ran, well, actually I didn't meet her. She heard what I was doing, and I was at the beach randomly one day asking strangers on the street, hey, excuse me, do you have a second? If you had a year to live, like, what would you do? She overheard me. She ended up finding me on Instagram. And then we caught up for coffee, and she tells me this story about how her daughter, this was during COVID, her daughter actually got diagnosed with this really rare brain cancer, and she was only 17. And she ended up passing away during COVID. And it kind of just came out of nowhere. And Kerry, who was the woman, that was her mum, she was just talking about Lauren, and she said to me, I would love to start a charity in Lauren's memory. And I thought, Jesus, how the hell am I going to start a charity? Like, that's like not an easy thing to do, right? This is me saying this in 2021. And so I kind of left it, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel like that's the thing I'm supposed to do with this woman. And then it came out a couple months later that Lauren, while she was alive, she actually left behind this bucket list. And on this bucket list of things that she wanted to do before she died, the first thing was to go to Africa to see the elephants in the wild. And for whatever reason, it was like the most overpowering, overbearing thought that dropped into my head. That was like, you need to make this happen. If you start putting in the inspired action, the universe is going to part the sea to make this happen. And it did. I literally went out with an email to a travel company and said, this is the story. This is this woman. I want to make this happen for it. Will you help me make this happen? And they were like, yes, absolutely. Let's make it happen. That August, we ended up in Kenya. And while I was there the whole time, I kept saying to Kerry, I feel like I'm here for a bigger reason. I know we're here for you. I know we're here for Lauren, but I feel this gravitational pull to this place, and I can't explain it. I don't understand it. And it wasn't until the 5th day that we got taken to this village, and our tour guide had pulled me aside and he said, you really need to speak to Helen. And I was like, oh, why? Like, who's Helen? And sure enough, I sat down with her, and she started explaining her story about what the women and the girls have to go through in the Masai Mara. And that is, in Kenya, there are 43 different tribes, and these tribes all follow Christianity. So Kenya as a whole follow Christianity as a religion. But because every tribe has been raised differently, because a lot of them are remote villages, they almost have these like sub-religions or traditions. And there are only 7 tribes left in Kenya that still believe that it is normal or should be allowed to sell girls who are anywhere between the ages of 9 to 13 for 3 cows, trade them for 3 cows to become child brides, and then also mutilate them so that they're clean for marriage, and they're often sold to older men who can be anywhere from like 30 to 50, and these young girls are 9 years old. And because this is happening, they're not going to school. You know, they're becoming mothers at the age of 13. And as soon as their husband dies, one of the laws in the Maasai culture is that a female is not allowed to get divorced and a widow is not allowed to remarry. So this woman may have a child, and she's out on the streets and she can't support herself. She can't support her child. And so as Helen was explaining all of this to me, she was a victim of this, FGM, female genital mutilation, and she was also traded for 3 cows by her family. And so by chance, Helen was actually saved by a Catholic nun who actually put her through school. So Helen started to get this education. She started to teach and learn English. And she started noticing that while she was teaching at these schools, girls would just start dropping off anywhere between the ages of 9 and 13. And she thought to herself, this cannot still be happening, because by that point, I think it was in 2009, Kenya had actually made it illegal to trade any girls and also marry them off to older men, as well as FGM. That got made illegal. But still, and I guess you got to kind of like look at it from a cultural perspective, this is something that's been happening for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? It's not just going to go away, because that cultural conditioning is still very much alive. So Helen was seeing this happening and she thought there has to be a way to make this stop. So she started rescuing these girls and actually built her own school and started putting these kids through education. And the beautiful thing is that she actually follows the Kenyan curriculum. So it's not like she's just gone rogue and started a school and she's like teaching them whatever she thinks is legit. She follows a protocol because, again, she believes in sustainable education. She wants a child to start in kindergarten, move to primary school, and then from primary school move to high school, and then have the option, should they choose to, go to university. So she's told me all of this in like a 5-minute conversation when I was there in 2022. And there was just this part of me that just completely broke down all over again, because I thought, here's a woman who has had horrific things done to her, like horrific, and she has seen horrific things. The environment she lives in is unsafe. She can't walk down the street without having, guards, because there are people that literally want to kill her for what she's trying to do, because they believe that she's trying to change the culture, when she's not. She's actually trying to allow culture and education to live side by side. She's turned this trauma story, she's turned this thing that was meant to be the worst thing that's happened into her life into a catalyst for good. Why can't I do that? In fact, I'm going to do that. So, using this story of, what had happened to me, and that whole sense of feeling completely worthless, feeling like, I was unlovable, feeling like I was, an absolute reject, feeling like it was all my fault. I honestly turned this leaf and was like, fuck that. I'm actually going to rewrite this story. This is not how the story is going to end. It's not going to be a full stop. It's a comma. And I am going to like continue like doing this and ensuring that these kids are going to have an education, that they're going to have an equal opportunity to at least decide and at least choose, should they wish to go to school, they're going to be able to go to school. So yeah, I kind of came back, and then that was sort of when you entered into my life as well, Warren. And then everything just started like kind of falling into place. And I thought, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And if this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, which is help and support these kids, I need to get my house in order. I need to get my shit together. I need to make sure that what I'm doing is going to be able to not just only fund these projects and these kids, but I also need to survive. So that's kind of where I started going back into the online business world and going, all right, like let's do this. Let's just throw everything at the wall and just run, just go towards it. So yeah, I think going back to the whole, tying it in nicely together, people who sometimes sit there and go, I have nothing to offer the world. I have nothing to teach. I have nothing to share. It's like, well, what's your lived experience? I'm sure you've been through something. And if you shared that with somebody, it's going to help them move through and navigate through whatever the hell it is that they're currently moving through and navigating through. So, again, it's a belief thing, but I genuinely think that everybody has a story to share, and that story that you share with the world has the power to become somebody else's survival guide. And Helen's story was that for me. And, I've been told in the past that my story has been that for other women and even men who thought or had been through something similar. So, yeah, that's my why. That's my vision. It's to build this school, and not only build this school, but then be able to take that same framework that we're trying to help this community with, and go and do it in Nepal, and go and do it in Cambodia, and go and do it in Argentina, or wherever we find these change makers. Because a big thing for me is I don't want to be the white person that comes in and tries to save the day. It's like these people are genuinely like, they got it figured out. They just need the support. They need the cheerleaders in their corner to assist them and help them. And that's what Always Away, which is the foundation that I'm setting up. That's what we do, is finding these incredible change makers in these communities and going, we believe in you. What do you need? Let us help you. You tell us what you need, and we're going to find a way to make it happen, because there's always a way to make something happen if there's the willingness and the desire to just try. That's a mouthful.
I love it. I just, like I said, whenever I listen, I can listen to you all day. It's just your passion. I mean, if anyone here is not moved by that story, then they must be, clinically dead. I mean, I'm sure that everyone listening to that, it's just, my sense of humor is diabolical, Monique, In fact, I think one of the things I said, when someone goes to me just recently, oh, how's your mum? I said, oh, yeah, she's dead. And I just said it like very matter of fact, but they were like, oh, that's terrible. And they said, yeah. I said, couldn't be bothered going to a funeral. And they were like, I just had too much on. I said, no, I'm just joking. She's doing really well. And so, yeah, I've got a pretty dark humor.
I mean, you acknowledge death. I don't think that's a bad thing,
No. Well, I grew up with it. My mum's got a dark humor too. Like, she will, like, people who meet her have to get used to her, because I'll ask her things like, no, Kevin, she goes, oh, yeah, my son's pretty, he's like, was the worst of my children. And he's not very intelligent, and he was very ugly, and it's very sad, but he was born so ugly. And they kind of look at her. And I just laughed and said, yeah, you wouldn't think, you think she's at least 100, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
My mum actually looks like 60, she's 80. She looks really young. But I said, yeah, you'd think she's 100, She's kind of aged really badly. That's the kind of humor in our family. So
that's so
complete
funny.
detour. But in all seriousness, thank you, Monique. And really, I mean, you and I could talk for 2 years, but what I would love to do is just, people are messaging a lot in the chat about two things. Number one is, of course, they've been inspired about the whole Kenya, as you have to be. But number two, they've asked about, how they can kind of, join your wait list or be part of this course. So I noticed you put a comment up before, and so basically you're going to be launching your program on the 14th of March. So people can just put a finger on them, and they can find out more about it when it comes. Is that right?
You get sent all the comms. There'll be a live launch happening as well, where I will actually be doing a free webinar for people to actually see and understand what is going to be entailed in this course. I'm going to teach a bit of a blueprint as well. And then, that's pretty much the coursework. I mean, if you ever want to reach out directly to me, you can find me on Instagram. It's just my name, Monique Medved. I'll type it in here. I love starting conversations with people, so don't ever be afraid to just shoot me around.
As you see, Monique certainly isn't a quietly spoken.
No. Like, I mean, I literally took a stranger to Kenya with me, so like, I'm accustomed to like becoming friends with anybody.
Well, I think I'm going to Kenya at some stage. I think I've already been roped in.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Once it's all good to go, we're going. Yeah, but I mean, there's the YouTube channel if you actually want to see some of the crazy shit that I've done. Again, it's just my name. I'm pretty much everywhere. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this next chapter. And I think, like, being able to be on here on this platform with you, Warren, and being able to not just share what I'm doing now and why I'm doing it, but also more so the why that I'm doing it for the grander, bigger vision is really exciting, because like I said, everything that I'm doing is actually for the school and for these kids, and for
I love it.
Leaving something behind that's actually going to be some part of my legacy. But so thank you for this opportunity, and thank you everybody that's done.
I'm very excited by it. In fact, two final things I'll say. Number one, just so everyone know, I've asked Monique and she's agreed, because we're going to be offering a Women's to Wealth Financial Independent event. It was going to be this Saturday, but we decided to do it Saturday the 9th of March, mainly because we wanted time to prepare a bit better. And also it's International Women's Day on the 8th of March. So we thought it was a really good celebration for that. And Monique and Jen and Nicole, who some of you have seen, are going to be running that event mainly. But I've asked Monique to come and do a presentation and actually go through a PowerPoint and show you her funnel system and, and how to do all that kind of stuff, to give you a sneak preview. Just type a why, or raise your hands if you're like, yeah, you would like to come along to that, because yeah, we'll be
Yay!
advertising the event next week and giving a pre-launch special for people who want to come. But yeah,
Yep.
you definitely want to come along and hear that and hear her speak again. And the second and last, yep, quite a lot of people, you do not want to miss being part of that program. I've wrapped her in with my funnels well and truly. The last thing is, Monique, how could people get involved with helping you do that amazing work in Kenya? Like, obviously donations. Is there anything they can do? People want to do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, just reach out to me if there's anything specific that you want to, kind of if you think you can assist in any way. I'm always open to any kind of assistance. I think the biggest thing is going to be for us, as soon as we're registered as an official charity, then we'll have like the website, we'll have everything. You can find us at the moment on here. I'll type it on Instagram. There's a few videos from the recent trip that we went on. Yeah, but the majority of it, I think, is just at the moment spreading the awareness more than anything. Because that's sort of the thing that shocked me when I went over. I didn't realize that this was still happening, and a lot of people that I speak to don't even realize that it's still happening. It's like the 21st century or 22nd century. Are we in the 22nd? Anyway,
21st, I think. I
yeah.
think you got 100 years ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just spreading that awareness. But yeah, I think in the next couple of months, there's going to be a lot more activity to be able to actually do donations, get sponsorships. If you're actually interested in sponsoring a girl directly, reach out to me, because we're always looking for actual sponsors to sponsor these kids.
Oh man.
Yeah, yearly. So just a rough guideline to sponsor a child for a year over there to get them through all the terms. They're boarding, so they actually stay at the school. So that also pays for their boarding costs, pays for their uniforms, pays for their food, pays for any kind of medical, bills or anything that they would need. It's about 850 USD. So I think that equates to like $1,200 maybe, something like that, 1,300 Australian dollars. Yeah, so there have been a few people that have just privately reached out to me and said, oh, we really want to sponsor a girl. So I pretty much pass on the details to Helen, and the direct sponsorship kind of comes to me, goes to them, or I can kind of set you up
We're
to.
going to got to let everyone know about this and get the word out. I mean, my biggest problem when I hear about it is I want to be Jason Bourne. I just want to go in there and just execute everyone who's doing it. It's true. I do. I just want to go execute everyone who's doing it. Just because that would stop it pretty quickly. You just hunt them down and kill them. It's
I
easy.
mean, true.
That's why, I mean, this is a big detour on that, but you've heard of Rodrigo Duterte, haven't you? The Filipino president.
Yeah, you've
That's
told
what
me
he
this.
did. Yeah, he just basically, that's how he stopped the drug trade. He just basically told, when he got in, that you got 30 days to shut down your drug empires, or we'll just come in and shoot you. And I don't think they fully believed him. And after 30 days, they just came in and shot everyone, just killed all the drug lords, and of course they were in shock, and it kind of made a big difference in Philippines. So sometimes that's the easiest way to solve it. But but what you're doing is amazing, because even if we do that, you still got to heal the people and do
Well,
that.
that's
So it's
it.
amazing what you're doing.
And there's like, it's lifelong work. That's the thing. I think, I can try and
Yeah.
plan as much as possible now. And the goal is in the next, 4 years to build the school, like complete it, and have it like fully furnished, have a library, have a computer wing, have like we're literally looking at things like getting solar panels put in and batteries, because these people don't even have solar. Like, this is how messed up it is. This is the last thing I'll say. The Kenyan curriculum has just introduced computers as an actual subject. Like, kids have to learn how to use technology, right? Because times are changing. But that does not benefit a kid who's in a rural community school that doesn't even have electricity to power any form of a computer, even if they have the computers or the iPads. Kids, this is how they're learning how to type. They literally get printouts of keyboards and like learn to touch type on a piece of paper. So like, we are literally having to look at everything. And Helen's one of the smartest women I know. Like, this woman deserves all the credit in the world, because what she has put in place at the moment to try and get these kids to a level that's going to allow them to sit tests and take exams and whatnot is incredible. Like, she has literally thought of everything. But at the end of the day, you know, and this is one thing that traveling to third world countries has taught me, is there's a very big difference between poor and poverty, right? Like, we in the Western world are poor. People in third world countries, they live in poverty. It's because sorry, opposite way. People over there, they just have the poor resources, right? So there's not enough opportunities for these kids or for the women to actually be able to upskill themselves if they wanted to. And the other thing that Helen does as well is she actually has a widow's village. So all these mums that have been left on the streets with these kids, she takes them in and she actually teaches them how to sew or how to make honey. They have bees where they make honey and the women sell it at the markets. They create jewelry. So as tour groups are passing, because you have to pass through the camp to go to the Masai Mara, which is a really big national reserve, you can purchase their jewelry. So, you know, she's thinking of all these ways to create this sustainable financial loop where it's not just start here and then that's as far as you can go. It's like, we'll start here and then close the loop. And I guess that's kind of where we're factoring in everything else that we're doing, is how do we just be of assistance to those loops? Like, how do we just give them more resources or funds or whatever it is that they need? Because they know their culture better. They know their community better. I don't know it like she knows it. So yeah, it's a lifelong journey and process, but I'm just genuinely excited for it because I believe in it so much. I believe in Helen.
I just love listening to you speak on this. I think with this like mutual love affair where we just get excited and inspired by each other. Like, honestly, you make my day when I hear you say this to you. It's just brilliant. Like, honestly, it just, I get really excited with setting up foundations. I've set up about 40 or 50, and every time I set up a foundation, I'm like, hey, I'm involved in doing that. So I kind of feel like a father hen, or whatever you want to call me, a rooster. Like, hey, I was involved in setting that up, you know, and and every time people are getting changed, I'm like, hey, I was involved in that, you know. It's just cool.
I love it. Love it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for speaking, Monique. And
You're welcome.
everyone looks forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time at the thing. And then, of course, your course, and you can touch base on Instagram. And yeah, I'll give you a quick call after if anyone touch base with you. I've got a manifestation to share with you. You're going to like.
All right, done.
See you, everyone. See you, Monique.
Thank you, guys.